Alright, welcome back. So far this has been a series made really for people getting into the hobby grade cars that are thinking of possibly building their very own drag car based on a Traxxas chassis. So far this is what we have. So we have the Slash low center of gravity chassis, Bandit rear, Bandit front with the GTR long shocks, which are the front shocks that fit a Slash, Bandit, or Rustler. GTR springs for E-Revo. So these are springs for E-Revo, GTR shocks, aluminum shocks, but we did the front, remember. So this is what we have so far. Now we're going to be talking about the body. We still have a few things to finish up, but the body, we want to get the body trimmed up, and the reason why is we want to check to see if we can just use the body mounts off of the Traxxas Slash without having to buy adjustable mounts for the body. And then after that, we're going to look at some of the other items. So for the body right now, what I have is I have the JConcepts body, which is a Ford Mustang. It's a 1991 Ford Mustang. You can buy any body that's made for drag racing. This just happens to be a Fox Body, which is why I chose it. But again, it doesn't matter if you want a Bel Air, or if you can find an S10, that would be a pretty cool body to use as well. There's a variety of others. So the important thing about the bodies is these bodies are Lexan. So if you do not have a hot knife, just invest in a pair of scissors. But these are scissors made to cut Lexan in the body. And one of the things that you will notice is these are straight. These are curved. Now these are curved to the right. You can use them to cut to the left, but to be honest, there's actually a direction that's easier than the other. It'd be nice if they made these scissors curved the other way. And once I start cutting up the body, you're going to see why. Because that curve does make a difference. So here's the body. The body is Lexan. It's just a type of plastic. Here, the body also comes with the wings. Looks like the rear spoiler for the trunk. So you have these options. We're going to cut these up toward the end. The main concern is actually the body, just to get it mounted. It also comes with these stickers here, which you will stick on the windows so that you don't paint them up. I'm actually not a fan of these because they stick a little too much versus the other ones that appear to be made out of a masking tape type material. Those peel off a little easier. That's generally what Traxxas comes with. So the Traxxas bodies, they come with the ones that are easier to peel. These are the stickers that you can add on afterwards. Now, the part that I don't like, to be honest, is you have to trim them. I don't know why they can't just laser cut them and trim them. I don't know, maybe there is a big cost difference. I have no idea, to be honest. But I'm sure a lot of us would pay an extra buck just to have those trimmed. And, I mean, $1. Don't think I'm talking about something related to a moose. It's a different type of deer-related species. Wrong buck. But we have the body, so you can see these bodies are somewhat large. Now, one of the things I'm going to start with is I'm going to start trimming everything up. And generally, what I'll do is I'll start cutting about a wheel. That's generally the part that I find the easiest. Mainly because I don't want to cut here on the bends because this is pretty tough. So I don't want to cut along this, I want to cut across. I find it easier to do that. Now, many times I'll just use the straight scissors and I will just cut straight ahead. And as soon as you cut, this begins to bend. As you see, this bend here makes it rigid. So it's a lot easier if you just cut through and now you can bend it. So here, you can just remove material. And now I'm going to use these curved scissors for this little area here. And it's better that you cut too little than if you cut too much. If you cut too little, you can trim it back later once you're detailing it. If you cut too much, good luck. you can't really glue it back on. You're out of luck there. So you're gonna follow. So these are actually pretty comfortable and good to cut to the left, but when you cut right, it's gonna be a challenge. Now I like cutting before I paint the body. Some people will actually paint the body and then cut. The reason why I prefer cutting before I paint the body is because the paint goes on the inside of the body. And after you paint, if you're cutting and you're not very neat or very careful, or you don't have that much experience, as some of the people out there do, you're gonna end up scratching up your paint on the inside with the tip of the scissors as you are cutting. And that's the reason why, especially if you use these when you start cutting certain areas, they don't really quite work the same when you switch sides. So that's one of the reasons why. So these here, they're great for cutting toward the left. That's what I find. Maybe you can use them cutting to the right as well. It really just depends on what side they're on. But anyway, here's part of the Lexan. So this, just recycle it. And I do like cutting all the wheel wells up first. That is generally what I do. So now we're working on the rear. And again, it's always better that you trim too little than too much. And I really like these curved scissors. You don't need the curved scissors, but if you don't use curved scissors, you're gonna have to cut a little slower, bit by bit. Later on, you can go in there with maybe a small little file, small little piece of sandpaper and just lightly sand away, or you can use a rotary tool, such as a Dremel tool. Try to remove material, although I wouldn't recommend it because it does create heat and start melting, and then it's... Keep in mind that there's also a protective film on top of the body on the outside, so you don't really want to apply heat. It's a mess. That's all I can tell you. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut the other two wheel wells. And I like going left. If you want to go right, you can go right. More power to you. But everybody has a system. This is just my little recommendation. The main thing is, and I can't emphasize this enough, use quality tools. Don't use any cheap scissors on this. You want something sharp. You can also use a hot knife if you want. You can take a soldering iron and just sharpen the tip and then use that to kind of trim. I just don't like applying heat to anything this thickness. Maybe if it were a thicker body, for example, the Tamiya man truck that has a thicker Lexan, that I would consider a hot knife. I wouldn't use a hot knife, but that's something I may consider a hot knife, or if I was working with something even thicker than that. Now, if you're wondering why I'm not being so careful, I'm just rolling this body like this, it's because, again, there's actually a protective film on this body, so I'm not worried about it scratching. That's what the film is for. So here we go. We've got that wheel well. We're moving on to the next one. These scissors cut really well. They're by Dynamite. Again, not sponsored by anyone. These are just tools that I've used, and I've been liking these a lot. Sometimes what ends up happening is I'll buy certain tools, try them out, and then I'll lend them to somebody and they'll mess them up. So I just won't bother. I'll just buy another set. I remember one time I bought a really nice body reamer, which I'll have to use for this. And if you don't know what a body reamer is, but you know what a reamer is, it's just a reamer that you use for the body. So it helps you make a hole, but it's in steps. So it's not like a drill bit, which is just just the same diameter all the way through. A reamer has an ever-changing diameter. Think about it as a cone. It's a cone that cuts. And so, long story short, I lent a reamer to somebody, and first thing I said, don't drop it. First thing that person did, dropped it. So even though it was a very good reamer, I mean, that was no longer good. Why? Because that tip was damaged. Sometimes you can fix them. Sometimes it's not worth it. But anyway, scissors, that's what happened. I ended up giving up an old pair of scissors that I had, which were just straight, and then I figured, hey, I'll just buy the set. And the reason why is sometimes when you buy the set, you end up saving a buck or two than buying them individually. Because if you buy this set first, just to save money, eventually you're going to come back and you're going to want to buy this curved set. So just buy them both. These actually came in as a set of 2. That is my recommendation. Now that I've cut the wheel wells, as you can see, I mean, it's not that difficult. I'm just going to go ahead and cut all of this excess material here, and I'm going to try to follow the line. Again, it's always better that you cut too little, so err on the side that is not the body, and then you can go back and just trim everything up. And Lexan is actually very easy to cut when it's this thickness and you have good sharp scissors. And again, I cannot emphasize enough on how tools that should be sharp better be sharp. 1, it makes your job a lot easier. 2, it's less stressful to cut because you're applying less force. And because you're applying less force and it's cutting smoother, you run a lower chance of jerking whatever it is that you're cutting and then accidentally cutting yourself. Most of the time you will hear many people say you will never cut a sharp blade. And to be honest, most of the time when somebody cuts oneself while trying to cut something, I apologize, cutting something, the reason behind it is usually the blade was not sharp enough for the job, or it wasn't the proper blade. That's the other thing too. So here's scissors are, I think, the safest way to go, especially for somebody that's starting off. Using an X-Acto knife, I do not recommend. Using a razor blade, I do not recommend. Now, again, be very careful with scissors. If you're young, you're a young kid, you should have an adult do this. Don't try this yourself. So again, adult supervision when using sharp tools, or just in general. I mean, if you're 10 years old, there should be an adult there helping you out. So don't go around there thinking it's like, oh, I watched this video, I'm only 5, I can do it. No, you cannot, or maybe you can, but you shouldn't. There's a difference between can and should. So now we're gonna cut this back here, and I'm gonna worry about trimming these little edges later, just rounding them off. I'll worry about that later. Right now, I just want to get the bulk of this excess material off the body. Something else too about the body, when you are getting ready to paint the body, first thing you want to do is you want to clean the inside thoroughly. Prepping is key to a good painted body. If you don't clean the inside of the body, sometimes there's different types of oils and lipids that just stick to the body. Some of them could be from your fingers just touching it as you're cutting. Notice I'm not wearing gloves. Wear gloves if you like, but since I'm going to wash it anyway, I didn't bother. I generally do a 2-step. I'll wash it with dish soap. Dish soap is very good at eliminating grease. And then I will use rubbing alcohol. I will do that. Do not use acetone. Acetone is a no-no on Lexan. You don't want to do that. That stuff is strong. 1, it smells. Not very good for your lungs to use that much. And 2, it actually softens up the plastic. It's kind of neat. Don't do it though. Don't try it. Just use alcohol. Rubbing alcohol is your friend. That's what we use for the tires. That's what we are using for the body as well. So again, you're going to be washing it thoroughly. The towel that you dry it with, make sure it is a clean towel that has not been used to clean anything else. So if it's been used to clean anything else, do not use that towel. And the reason why is it may have certain oils. Now, why am I emphasizing getting rid of the oils? Well, it's very simple. what's going to end up happening is you're going to end up getting a lot of fisheyes. Fisheyes, so when you spray, it'll be parts where the paint will start to separate. It'll separate from itself and come off the Lexan, so it won't cover the Lexan smoothly. That is a fish oil. Why? Well, gee, I don't know, maybe because it looks like a fish oil, or it looked like a fish oil to somebody. You will understand if that happens. If that happens to you, the best thing you can do is just let the paint dry and then go in, clean it, and retouch it. Usually if you just clean and retouch it afterwards, you'll be fine. You just use a little rubbing alcohol on the affected area, and then after that just respray and you'll be good. But the main thing is, if you do get a run, think about it as a smear with paint, or if you get fisheye, just let it dry and then clean it, especially if it's a fisheye, and then repaint, apply another coat. That's about it. Right here, these little corners here tend to be the challenge. You have to just kind of cut slow, because scissors want to cut something straight, open up the Lexan, but the Lexan is shaped that way, so it's not going to cut. Something else that's pretty neat about Lexan is it's very durable, very flexible. Once in a while you will get dents in Lexan if you crash hard enough. I mean, you can't crack it. My recommendation is just use a type of duct tape, but use the black one. That's very strong. And then just put it over whatever the break. I actually repaired a short course body a long time ago. I was going too fast, lost control. This was on the street. Got some loose dirt. Long story short, ran that thing under a car tire. That was my cousin's car too. And I broke the entire body. It just cracked all the way, most of it. There was a little piece holding it, and then back over here. Just used some duct tape, taped it up. There was a few other cracks. Then I used that body to bash for a long period of time. It was great. Racing, not the best idea. It's too much weight. But if you're just bashing, just use duct tape. A lot of people use shoe glue and some fiber or some type of cloth. That's pointless and useless. I mean, you can do it if you like, but that black duct tape, the best thing. There's different brands out there. For example, the Gorilla one is a very good one. That's the one I actually used. Again, not sponsored. But Gorilla duct tape does wonders holding Lexan together. I mean, you could probably cut the body in half and then just use that tape and it'll hold it together. But again, if you're racing, not a good idea because it's heavy. It's just heavy. That's the reason why I wouldn't recommend it. Alright, here's the curve, and we're almost set. And now for the other trimming, I actually like using the other scissors. So I'm going to switch over to those as soon as I finish this cut. And there we go. So at that point, now I can use these, right? And I'm just going to try to round this little area here. That's all I do. So as I'm cutting, I'm also turning. And that's it. That's all you do. And then you take the other side. And as you're cutting, you just go around. And that's it. Right? And again, as you cut, I mean, kind of follow the line. But place the scissors, and as you cut, just turn them, and that's it. So you'll just round all of those points. And that is all you really have to do to the body. Before prepping it, my recommendation is mark the points where the body mounts are going to go before you paint on. And the reason why is once you paint on, it's going to be a greater challenge. Then you're going to have to use magnets or another way of figuring it out. Now, if you're wondering what I mean by magnets, you can take the small little round magnets and you put a little washer. So you put a little steel washer right here, right on this, and then you set the body on top. And then you just drop the magnet, and then the magnet will try to find the washer. But since the washer's here, it'll kind of lift it, stay there, and then you can just flip this, or tape the magnet there so it doesn't move, flip it, and then just mark the hole. So you can do that. You don't have to buy anything special. I'm sure they sell stuff for it, but there's no need. So now I can just go ahead and place the body here. Now ideally I actually want the wheels on in the rear to mount the body. So here we go. We have the tires on there now. Just on how it looks, it appears like the stock mounts will actually work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go ahead and mount these. So it'll go in these holes. I may have to trim this a little, so it just depends on how high I want the body to be in the front. As of now, it'll be pretty high, but luckily I can trim these down. I may have some shorter ones and then just drop these. This is where the adjustable mounts would work. You would just bring it up and down, versus this I'm going to have to cut. But it's all right. The rear though, the rear are adjustable, so hopefully these work, and then that way I don't have to get any new ones. So that'll be for a separate video. Right now, this is the body, so we're getting ready to just set the mounts the proper height, and then we're going to ream the body. All right. Thank you very much for watching. Like, dislike, share, comment. I'll see you in the next one. Be good.